At 2:20 in the morning on December 23, 2024, lava punched through the floor of Kilauea's summit caldera and fountained into the dark Hawaiian sky. 8 hours later, it stopped. 2 days after that, it did it again. Then it stopped again. That was episode 1 and episode 2. As of this week, Kilauea has done this 49 times, and according to the U.S. Geological Survey, episode 50 is forecast to begin today. 50 eruptions in 18 months. No volcano in recorded history has produced this many high fountaining episodes within a single eruptive sequence. The previous record, and 47 episodes set during the Pu'u'o eruption between 1983 and 1986, stood for nearly 4 decades. Kilauea surpassed it this spring, and it is not finished. The USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory has confirmed that magma is currently close to the surface, that both vents are glowing and producing flames, and that their forecast models place episode 50's onset at the highest probability they have assigned to any single day since this eruption began. This is the story of a volcano that has been rewriting the scientific record, episode by episode, for a year and a half. What it is doing beneath the surface, what it is building above it, and what the one signal is that would change the nature of this eruption entirely. To understand what is happening at Kilauea right now, you need to understand where it sits and what it is. The Big Island of Hawaii is not one volcano. It is 5 overlapping shield volcanoes stacked on top of each other, built by a fixed hotspot in the Pacific mantle that has been punching through the moving oceanic plate for tens of millions of years. Kilauea sits on the southeastern flank of the island, lower and younger than its neighbor Mauna Loa, but far more active. In the last 1,000 years, Kilauea's lava flows have covered roughly 90% of the Big Island's surface. It is not occasionally active. It is the default state of the island. For 35 years, from 1983 to 2018, Kilauea erupted almost continuously from a vent called Pu'u'o on its East Rift Zone. Then, in 2018, the system shifted dramatically. Pu'u'o collapsed. The summit caldera partially fell in on itself, and a new set of fissures tore open in a residential neighborhood called Leilani Estates. Over 4 months, those fissures buried more than 700 homes, destroyed 35 square miles of land, and added a new lava delta to the coastline of the island. After 2018, Kilauea went quiet for 2 years. It restarted in 2020. It began erupting from its summit caldera again. And then, on the night of December 23, 2024, something shifted once more, and this current cycle began. The eruption that started that night is classified as a single ongoing eruption, not a series of separate ones. That distinction is important. The reason USGS considers 49 separate fountaining events, all part of one eruption, is that each event comes from the same 2 vents, the North Vent and South Vent, on the floor of Halemaumau crater inside Kilauea's summit caldera. The plumbing system has not changed. The reservoir feeding them has not been replaced. What changes between episodes is pressure. That pressure cycle, the mechanism behind every one of these 49 episodes, follows a pattern that USGS scientists have now documented so precisely that they can forecast eruption windows days in advance. When an episode ends, the volcano deflates. Magma drains back down from the vents into the shallow reservoir beneath the crater. The surface of the crater floor cools. The ground subsides slightly. Tilt meters at the summit register the drop. Over the following days to weeks, that reservoir begins to refill. Magma rises from deeper in the system, driven by pressure from the hotspot below. The ground inflates. Tilt meters register the rise. Seismic tremor, the low-frequency vibration of magma moving through rock, increases. Vent glow intensifies. And then, when the pressure threshold is reached, the system releases. It is not random. It is a cycle, as regular, in its own geological way, as a tide. That predictability is, in itself, scientifically unprecedented. Before this eruption, no USGS observatory had successfully forecast the start of individual lava fountaining episodes days in advance with such consistent accuracy. What began as a rough estimate, activity likely sometime in the next few weeks, has after 49 cycles of deflation and reinflation, sharpened into a specific 48-hour window with a single most probable day. The volcano has, in a sense, trained the scientists watching it. The early episodes in January 2025 produced modest lava fountains reaching 100 to 160 feet. By mid-2025, as the system built energy across repeated cycles, heights were exceeding 1,000 feet. On December 24, 2025, almost exactly 1 year into the eruption, Episode 39 set the record for the highest fountain measured in this sequence. Approximately 1,400 feet or 425 meters of molten basalt shooting vertically into the Hawaiian sky. Stop for a second and let that number land. 1,400 feet. That is taller than the Empire State Building, and it lasted for hours. During that episode and others near the height of the acceleration phase, observers reported a phenomenon not seen since the most intense episodes of the 1959 Kilauea Iki eruption, volcanic vortices. Columns of superheated gas and lava rotating at the base of the fountain, forming temporary spiraling pillars of fire. Scientists call them lava convection vortices. Visitors who witnessed them live called them something else entirely. So, what is actually driving this? What makes a magma reservoir erupt episodically rather than continuously, and why has this particular eruption produced more episodes than any other in recorded history? The short answer is CO2. When magma sits in a shallow reservoir, it is under pressure, both from the weight of rock above it and from dissolved volcanic gases trapped within it. The dominant gas is water vapor, but CO2, carbon dioxide, behaves differently. Unlike water vapor, which dissolves readily back into magma under pressure, CO2 tends to come out of solution first and accumulates at the top of the magma column. As it builds up, it reduces the density of the magma near the surface. Think of it as a bubble pump. CO2 rises, lightens the top of the column, lowers the pressure threshold, and triggers fountaining. The eruption releases the gas. Pressure drops. Magma drains back. The reservoir refills. CO2 begins to accumulate again. That is the mechanism behind the South Vent's behavior this week, what USGS scientists describe as large flames caused by the burning of gas within the top of the conduit. The gas has accumulated to the point of igniting at the surface. What that means, in practical terms, is that the next fountain is not far behind. What 49 episodes have done to Halema Uma'u crater is visible from any of the 6 overlooks along Crater Rim Drive inside Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. The crater floor has been progressively filled and rebuilt by successive lava flows. Each episode covers between 40 and 50% of the crater floor with new material. The floor that existed before December 2024 is now buried dozens of meters deep under layers of new basalt. But the accumulation has not stayed contained to the crater. Episode 43 on March 10, 2026, produced significant tephra fall across the national park and pushed volcanic ash downwind to Puna, to Hilo, a city of 50,000 people, and to the Hamakua coast. Roads were closed. Ashfall advisories were issued. Residents with respiratory conditions were warned to stay indoors. Sulfur dioxide emissions during active episodes reach levels that cause volcanic air pollution to settle across the island for days at a time. More than 200,000 people live on the Big Island of Hawaii. Over 1 million visitors arrive at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park each year to witness this eruption from the overlooks. For most of them, the experience is extraordinary, and the risk is distant. For the residents of communities in the volcano's downwind shadow, Puna, parts of Hilo, the Kau district to the southwest, it is a calculation they make every morning. The threshold that scientists are watching is not another fountain height record. It is the East Rift Zone. In 2018, when Kilauea's pressure system finally overflowed from the summit into the lower rift, the results were catastrophic for the communities along its path. The same East Rift Zone that runs from the summit southeast toward the coast, the same zone that was quiet through all 49 episodes of this eruption, is the pressure release valve that a sufficiently inflated summit system would reach for if the summit vents could no longer accommodate the magma supply. USGS has consistently reported no significant activity in the East Rift Zone throughout this eruption. Seismic data and GPS ground deformation measurements show no migration of magma away from the summit. But the fact that HVO monitors the East Rift Zone in every single daily update and states explicitly when nothing has changed there tells you exactly what they are watching for. The signal that would change everything is not another episode beginning. It is seismicity moving eastward. Ground deformation appearing along the rift. SO2 detected where it should not be. Those are the measurements that would indicate the system is no longer recycling through the summit and is building toward something different. For now, after 49 episodes, the cycle continues. The reservoir is inflated. The vents are glowing. The models say today is the most likely day for episode 50. And when it starts, it will send lava fountains hundreds of feet into the sky above a crater that has been filled layer by the 49 eruptions that came before it. The eruption record is already broken. The only question left is what comes after episode 50. Subscribe to stay ahead of what's coming.